to audiobooks recently, I just found out that on my library, like with my library, you can basically get like a whole bunch of free audiobooks. So I have just been demolishing some. So I am going to see what I can find on my library audiobook. I've also signed up for Audible, so I'll see what's on there. I'm really excited. Usually when I'm driving is the time that I like to listen to audiobooks, or when I'm going for a walk. So I like to have a hard copy book and an audiobook on at the same time, just to read more books, but it's also just entertaining. Sometimes I listen to podcasts and I just want to mix it up a bit, or I listen to music and I want to mix it up a bit. So I'm going to try and find some good audiobooks, and I will keep you updated on what I find. I love memoirs when I'm listening to audiobooks, and so I came across Rebel Wilson's memoir, and I'm keen to give that a read and see what it's like. I don't know much about her story or her history or her growing up life. All I really know of her are the popular movies that she's in, but I don't know her claim to fame, how she got there. So I'm really excited to see her journey and just her life story. I finished Rebel Wilson's memoir. I really love Rebel Wilson and just her as an actor. I think I love her particularly because she's Aussie, but I think she's so funny. It was also really nostalgic because a lot of the places that she grew up and even went to school, like I know people who went to school where she went to school. She has had a really interesting life. It was really fascinating to hear about her kind of experiences of dating. I particularly liked that and how she came to do all that. Also, the whole thing about freezing her eggs and having a surrogate was really interesting. The stuff about her mum and dad and how that was kind of a fractured relationship growing up was fascinating. And even just how she got her start in Pitch Perfect and in movies in general, because she started out in comedy, which I didn't know, and that's kind of how she got her foot in the door. And she kind of embraced all the fat characters because she had signed these contracts for Pitch Perfect, and it said you can't gain or lose a certain amount of pounds or whatever, that she basically had to just stay big, and how she wanted to lose weight for ages but she couldn't. I don't really know how to rate memoirs because I'm like, it's just a story of your life. It was written fine, like it wasn't, I feel like it could have been written better, but I'm not a writer, so what do I know? So I think I would give this like a 3.5 maybe. It was a really easy read. I smashed it out. Like I listened to it very quickly. It was interesting. It kept me in. So yeah, I think, would I recommend it? If someone likes Rebel Wilson, I'd probably say, yeah, absolutely give it a read. But if someone like didn't really know much about Rebel or know her, then I would probably say like it's not for you. So it just depends where you stand on the Rebel scale, but I really enjoyed it. I have been reading Lola in the Mirror on audiobook in the car. I just have a feeling, I'm not even halfway, but I just have a feeling that this is going to be the 5-star book. It is so beautifully written. And Boy Swallows Universe, I only gave 3-star. I didn't love it. It sounded very blokey. And so I was looking at my kind of library list of audiobooks and Lola in the Mirror came up and I was like, oh, I've been wanting to read this. And it is, it's just so good. The Tyrannosaurus waltz and that metaphor, it's just, it's so, like, it cuts to your heart, but it's just so beautiful. I'm currently at the point where she's found out her name as Elizabeth and her mum's name, which I can't remember. And I don't know, it's just, I love the Aussie culture and the complexity of growing up in kind of on the run, basically. So I will update you when I'm finished or when I've continued on, but so far this might be my 5-star read for the month.
I have just finished reading Lola in the Mirror. Sometimes in audiobooks I get really distracted and I have to like go back. I just loved everything about this book. It was read so beautifully. I even looked up the narrator because I was like, you are just an amazing voice actor. I think it was such a beautiful, heartfelt story. The end, spoiler alert, I did not see coming. The fact that the woman who raised her actually kidnapped her years ago because her own daughter died. And so, you know, she was saying that this woman is beautiful and cared for her, but actually, like, that woman was the monster. She then became separated from her family because of that, and they'd been looking for her for years. The writing style, Trent Dalton and how he writes is just amazing. I gave this, drumroll, 5 stars, which is very high. I hardly rate books 5 stars. Which is like mind-blowing, but I even want to go and buy the book just to have it on my shelf to lend out to people. And I would also love to read it again, like actually read it rather than listen to it.
It's me, future Annalise, just jumping in to say that I actually did buy the physical copy. I went to a secondhand store and I got it, so I'm excited to reread.
That just goes to show how wonderful it was. Trent Dalton is an amazing author, and the story was just so beautiful. I love that it was set in Australia, and it was just beautiful.
So I've been really into psychology kind of books at the moment, and I've been recommended this by a friend. It's a book called Attached. I've got my housemate recommended it, another friend recommended it. They said it's just so good for understanding what you are like based on your attachment styles as a child. I'm sure like lots of you have heard about it before. It's so popular. So I'm really excited to read all about attachment styles and learn what attachment style I am, and hopefully then it will give me a bit of a framework to be able to work through things and see what my default is, and then how I can kind of adapt and change that based on the situation. I just finished listening to Attached on audiobook. It was a bit of a dull read just because it's a non-fiction book, but I thought it was really helpful. I thought that a lot of the things about secure attachment at the end were like really helpful. And if anything, I wish that there were more of that in the book. Like I wish that they had more about what it looks like to have a secure attachment throughout life and what are healthy patterns of communicating. So that was like the last 5% of the book, and I really enjoyed that. I think it's helpful in a way to understand what kind of attachment style you have, but if you're like me and you're anxious avoidant, then everything kind of sucks because you're just reading it all going, yeah, that's me, yeah, that's me, yeah, that's me, yeah, that's me. Yeah, not sure what to do with all of that. So I think it's helped me to recognize my own responses in just friendships and relationships, but also where I want to be and what a secure attachment looks like. I would have loved the book to have had more emphasis, or I guess less emphasis on relationships as in partners and stuff, but more on just friendships and family dynamics, because for those who are single, it feels like they're kind of talking past you into someone else. I gave the book, I think probably like a 2.75 is what it would be. Would I recommend this book? I don't think so. Did I find some bits helpful? Yeah, I really did. I'm glad I read it. I'm not rushing to go and recommend it, but I wouldn't tell people not to read it. So anyway, those are my thoughts on Attached.
The next book that I'm reading is The Housemaid's Secret, which is the second book of Frida McFadden's The Housemaid series. The first one I didn't love. I know on Goodreads it had really good ratings. It's like 4-point-something star on Goodreads. It was just very morbid. I have high hopes for this one. I'm excited. And yeah.
Voice. All at once.
Enzo.
Feeling comes
It's
over
Enzo.
Me. I'm like, Enzo!
What the heck?
As I throw my arms around him, I've forgotten how sexy he is. It's distracting. And I can't let myself.
I don't like
fold my
Enzo.
arms across my chest.
It's getting to the good bit in The Housemaid's Secret where she's basically been framed for the murder and she's in this room being interrogated, and yeah, it's really picking up speed now. I think I'm about halfway and I'm actually really enjoying it. I still think that the characters are really annoying, and I don't know if it's just because of the woman who's reading it. Her voice just really irritates me. I have a big trip back home to Sydney tomorrow, so that's going to be like an hour and a half drive, so I'm hoping that I might finish it then, but yeah, I'll keep letting you know how it goes. I've just finished listening to The Housemaid's Watching by Frida McFadden. I struggled to get into this book. The first quarter was mediocre. It was fine. And I also don't know how much of this is that I just struggled to listen because it's on audiobook versus if I had a physical copy. I just devoured the middle of it. It was like so fast paced. I love how they switched from Millie's point of view to Wendy's point of view and just the twistedness of all of that. The ending was a bit of a cliffhanger in terms of like, I want to know what's going to happen next. And I feel like with Frida McFadden's this particular series, she's always left me not necessarily loving the books and like rating them 5-star, but I do want to keep on reading the series. So I feel like that is a good thing. I'm really excited to read the next one in the series, which is the last one. And also I just found out that The Housemaid's being made into a TV series. So I can't wait to actually watch it as well. But for my rating for this book, I gave it a 3.75. It was really good. It was fast-paced in some areas, it was slow in others. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. I would say if you've read the first one, definitely read the second one. I think you'll love it. I'd be really intrigued to see how I found the books and also what I'd rate it if I was reading a physical copy. I feel like it would be maybe higher. 3.75 is my final rating for my last audiobook.
That is it for all of my book talk audiobook reviews. I'm really glad that I've started swapping out podcasts with audiobooks, and now I just do a bit of both. Sometimes I'm in a podcast mood, sometimes I'm in an audiobook mood. So it's really nice to know that at least my library, and I'm sure your library if you checked, has free audiobooks that you can look up, and yeah, there's lots that I've saved that I want to listen to. And that's it. So I will see you next time.